Good morning, CCS. Welcome to chapel.
Let's pray. Dear Lord, thank you for this day. Thank you for what you've done for us. I pray that this coronavirus will go away and no one else will get harmed by it. And please help us all have a good rest of the week, and all of us can come back to school safely on Monday. Amen.
Good morning, CCS. Welcome to chapel. I wanted to take a few minutes just to say hello and to say a special hello to our kindergarten and fourth grade students who are not with us here on campus. I miss you so much. I am so sad that I don't get to see your face. And I want you to know, especially on this day in chapel, that I am thinking about you and we are praying for you. And I can't wait to see you again when you come back. I also wanted to say a special hello to Mrs. March and Mrs. Taylor. We miss you, we're praying for you, and we can't wait to see you again. So even though you are with us, you're not with us in your body, you can be with us in spirit as we watch this chapel video together.
Hey everybody, my name is Jody and I am a Charleston Christian parent, and I am here to help kick off the Lapathon fundraiser. Hope you guys have already gotten your parents to sign up and you've been asking your family and your friends and your neighbors to help support Charleston Christian this year. And it's a super fun fundraiser. If you haven't done it before, basically all you got to do is run around the parking lot a bunch of times and then get pelican snowballs. So it's really fun. And one thing that we want to do while we are not only focusing on the fundraiser and raising money for the school, but we're also going to be focusing on some character traits that will help us to glorify God, and that will help us to be good examples to others. And so I'm going to kick those off today. First one we're going to talk about is being thankful, and this is mentioned so many times in the Bible, I can't even tell you. It's just so important that we're thankful for the things that God has given us, because it says in the Bible that God gives us all good things, and so we never want to forget to thank Him for those things. So, really, one thing that I have done in the past is sometimes if you can get in this place of feeling negative or just kind of bitter or frustrated about life, you can actually, a good idea would be to start a thankful journal, and you can write down maybe every single thing that you're thankful for from that day or from the day before if you do it in the morning, and that will get your mind kind of focused on thinking about the good and positive things that God has done for you that day. And it's really amazing kind of how it switches your whole mindset around to make it just a much better day in general. And also we're glorifying God by doing that and giving Him the thanks that He deserves. So just an idea for you. The next one that we're going to talk about is being humble. And of course, the best example in the Bible of humility and a person who is humble is Jesus. And he could have, it says here, don't brag about our victories. Well, you know what? Jesus is a king. He came from a throne in heaven, came down to earth, chose to do that, be born in a manger, and live the life of a person who was basically homeless once he was older, and he chose to just go around and serve others and put others above himself. He didn't brag about being a king. He didn't come and try to take over everything. He just kept it so low profile. We just want to learn from him and remind ourselves that we want to lift others up. Not that we can't think that the things that we have done well, that they're not good. That's great, but we don't want to call attention to ourselves. We want to make sure that we are calling attention to others and building others up instead of just ourselves. So just keep that in mind, to be humble like Jesus is. And the next one is to be responsible. Super fun one, I know. But basically, we want to make sure that we are doing the things that we're asked to do, not only by our parents and our teachers, which is very important, but by God and what God calls us to do in the Bible. We want to make sure that we actually follow those commands and do those things. And just as important, that's even the most important, but also as our parents and our teachers do ask us to be responsible for things, we want to make sure that we do that. And some of those things could be maybe, we have a chore chart here that we use at our house that, it's going to be different, everybody, depending on your age. And a lot of times the older you get, the more, we have a saying also that the more privileges you get, the more responsibilities you get. But could be even just doing things like helping around the house. First of all, of course, making sure your homework's done. Maybe unloading the dishwasher, picking up your clothes, taking care of your siblings, and just cleaning up after yourself in general would all be good things. So just make sure you're doing those and being responsible and doing what you're asked to do by your parents, teachers, and most importantly, God. The last one is to be brave. And God calls us to be brave and tells us to not be afraid so many times in the Bible. It is truly awesome to think that, like one verse says, if God's for us, who can be against us? So we really have no reason to be afraid. If we're doing the things that God has called us to do, then we can know that He is with us. And one verse that we keep in our house is Joshua 1:9 that says, be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid or discouraged, for the Lord your God is with you. So just don't forget that you do not have to have fear. You can be brave, you can be bold, and especially in today's culture and how we live today, you're gonna have to do that. And just remember that you can rely on God and know that as long as you're connected with Him, then He is going to give you the right words to say, the things to do. And when you have to make difficult choices, that you can make those hard choices when you know that they're the right choices. So just remember to be brave. Hope you guys have an awesome weekend. I'll be back next week to go over a few more character traits. But don't forget, be thankful, be brave, be responsible, and be humble. Bye, guys. Hope you have a great weekend.
Psalm 139, 1 through 10, 23 and 24.
You have searched me, Lord, and you know me. You know when I sit and when I rise. You perceive my thoughts from afar. You discern my going out and my lying down. You are familiar with all my ways. Before a word is on my tongue, you, Lord, know it completely. You hem me in behind and before, and you lay your hand upon me. Such knowledge is too wonderful for me, too lofty for me to attain. Where can I go from your spirit? Where can I flee from your presence? If I go up to the heavens, you are there. If I make my bed in the depths, you are there. If I rise on the wings of the dawn, if I settle on the far side of the sea, even there your hand will guide me, your right hand will hold me fast. Search me, God, and know my heart. Test me and know my anxious thoughts. See if there's any offensive way in me, and lead me in the way everlasting.
Congratulations to the 7th grade for earning the Aslan Award this week. Thank you, 7th graders. The Aslan Award goes to you.
Our chapel theme this year is "The Battle Belongs to the Lord." This theme comes from 1 Samuel 17:47. All those gathered here will know that it is not by sword or spear that the Lord saves, for the battle is the Lord's, and He will give all of you into our hands.
Hey, elementary school. My name is Mr. Clark. I am the middle school Bible teacher here at CCS. I think some of you recognize me because sometimes I wave to you in the hallway, but today I will be your chapel speaker. I'm going to tell you a secret. This is the first time I've ever given a lesson just to the elementary schoolers. I've spoken in chapel before, but the middle schoolers were there too. But this one is just for kindergarten, 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade. So I'm really excited to be your chapel speaker. I hope that you listen to me today so that you can talk to me in the hallway about the lesson. That would be really cool. I would really appreciate that. So today we're going to be talking about a character in the Bible named Joseph. Remember, our chapel theme for the year is the victory is the Lord's. And so we're going to see Joseph has a very dramatic life, lots of ups and downs and ups and downs. And at the end of his life, and even through his life, we can see that God was with Joseph and that the victory is the Lord's. And so, because there's so many ups and downs and ups and downs and ups and downs and ups and downs and ups and downs in his life, I'm going to tell you another quick, small secret that even the middle schoolers don't know about Mr. Clark. So, whenever I teach the story of Joseph's life, there's so many ups and downs and ups and downs and ups and downs and ups and downs that it actually reminds me of a roller coaster. And so here's the secret. My favorite roller coaster is called the Slingshot. It's in Georgia at a place called Wild Adventures. It's my favorite. The name of it is Slingshot. The middle schoolers don't even know this. It pulls you up real, real high, and then you go down real fast, and you do a loop, and you do a corkscrew, then you do a loop, and then it brings you up real, real high again, and you do the whole thing backwards. And so that's my favorite roller coaster, and Joseph's life is a roller coaster. And so I'll put Joseph up here just so we don't forget who our main character is. And now we're going to use this roller coaster on my whiteboard to talk about the life of Joseph. So, something you need to know about Joseph. He had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 brothers. So Joseph comes from a big, big family. I come from a big family. I have 3 brothers, 3 sisters, and 2 parents, so there's 8 of us. Not as big as Joseph's family, but from a pretty big family. And in my family, my parents love me and my brothers and my sisters all the same. They love us very much, and they take care of us, and they pray for us, and my parents have been really, really good parents. And they love us all equally. However, Joseph's dad picked a favorite of Joseph and his 11 brothers. And lucky for Joseph, Joseph was his dad's favorite. And so that's why Joseph's life starts off on a high note, right? We're at the top of the hill. This is a high note. Joseph's life starts out good because he is his dad's favorite. He is his dad's favorite. Joseph's other 11 brothers don't really like this, and so they start to be like, well, why is he dad's favorite? And they start talking to each other when Joseph goes into the other room. Joseph goes into the other room to get water. They're like, man, why is Joseph dad's favorite? Man, I can't stand it. Sometimes I don't really like Joseph. And so, because he is his dad's favorite, his dad gives him a gift. It's called the coat of many colors. It's very fancy and it's very bright, and it's something that maybe he can spin around in, and it can kind of go out everywhere like it does for Cruella de Vil in 101 Dalmatians, if you've seen that movie. And so he gets a coat of many colors. Of many colors. And so his brothers are like, Dad's giving him special gifts, and this makes them match. They're like, why does he get gifts and we don't? And so all 11 brothers keep getting more and more mad about Joseph and at Joseph because it's not fair. And then on top of all this, Joseph has 2 God dreams. He has 2 God dreams. And so Joseph has these dreams that were given to him by God because Joseph, our main character, has a very special relationship with God. He believes in God and he is faithful and he wants to be everything that God wants him to be, and he wants to follow God. And so Joseph has 2 God dreams. And in these dreams, Joseph's brothers are all bowing down to him in a different form. And so Joseph goes and tells his brothers about the dreams. And honestly, if I'm his brother, and I'm already mad at him. And then my little brother, because, oh, by the way, Joseph is one of the youngest. So what would you do if your little brother came to you and said, you know, I had a dream. God gave it to me. I had a dream. You're going to bow down to me one day. Both of my brothers are little brothers. And I know that I wouldn't be very happy. I'd be like, what are you talking about? I'm your big brother. And so Joseph's 11 brothers just get more mad after Joseph tells them about his 2 God dreams, where Joseph's brothers and his dad are all bowing down to him. And so his brothers create a plan. They say, hey, we're going to sell Joseph. We're going to get rid of him. We're so mad. We're so angry. We don't like him anymore. We're going to get rid of him. We're going to take him and push him somewhere else. And so they decide they're going to sell him into slavery. And so his life goes from really good, he's dad's favorite, to all the way down here. He's a slave. Sold into slavery. Sold into slavery. Now, slavery, it's not a good thing. It's not a good place to be. And so part of slavery is Joseph had to do all the chores. Every single one. By himself. Joseph had to do all the chores. Right? He had to fold laundry. He had to clean the bathrooms, clean the toilets. Ugh, that's gross. He had to maybe even cook meals. He had to pick up and clean up the room. Joseph had to do all the chores. And so he's sold into slavery. He has to do all the chores. But even worse than that, whenever he's sold into slavery, he's taken to Egypt. And so he's not even doing chores for his own family. He's doing chores for a man named Potiphar in Egypt. Egypt is a long way away from his home. And so Joseph is in Egypt. He's taken away from home. He's not with his family anymore. He has to do all the chores for this man named Potiphar. And Joseph's life just is not very good right now. His life is on a low point right now. But even when it's low, even when it's hard, in the hardest times of Joseph's life, he's still faithful. And even better than him being faithful, we're told in Genesis 46, God was with Joseph. And so that's a big deal, such a big deal, that I'm actually going to change marker color because I want it to stick out. God was with Joseph. And so because God was with Joseph, God makes Potiphar, right, who is the head of the house that Joseph is living in as a slave. Joseph makes Potiphar really like Joseph. Or God makes Potiphar really like Joseph. And so where a normal slave would have to do all the chores and all this, Joseph actually becomes the head of the household. He becomes in charge of everything. Instead of being on the bottom of the food chain, instead of being treated like the lowest, least important person in the house, because God was with Joseph, God gives Joseph favor with Potiphar. So Potiphar really likes Joseph. And so Joseph becomes the head of Potiphar's house. Becomes the head of Potiphar's house. And so what this means, it means Potiphar trusts him. And so he is trusted, which that's a big deal, right? We always want people to trust us. We want people to think that if they tell us something, they can trust us. I want my teacher to think that if I tell her, yes, I'll do my homework, I want her to believe me and trust that I'm actually going to do my homework. Right? We want to be trusted. So Joseph is trusted by Potiphar so much that Potiphar lets him run his own house. However, you see we have another low here, and man, it's about to get bad. Joseph gets framed. Do you know what it means to be framed? Let's think. Framed is when someone says you did something that you didn't do. And so someone goes to Potiphar and says, Joseph did something wrong. And Joseph goes, no, I didn't. And this person goes, yeah, he did. And Joseph goes, no, I didn't. And the person goes, yeah, you did. And Joseph didn't do anything wrong. But Potiphar, right, the guy who's in charge of the whole house, comes and he looks at the two people. He says, so you say you didn't, you say he did. And he takes the side of the person who's lying, said Joseph did something wrong. And so, because of that, Joseph gets thrown in jail. And so, but he gets thrown in jail because he is framed. And so, he gets framed, he gets in trouble for something he didn't do. Oh, I hate getting in trouble for something I didn't do. It makes me so angry. It's so hard. I didn't do it. I shouldn't be getting in trouble, right? But Joseph got in trouble anyway. And so Joseph is in jail. However, you see we have another rise. While he's in jail, it says God is with Joseph. This is a big deal. I'm going to change markers again. Even in jail, God was with Joseph. And this is the roller coaster of Joseph's life. If he's up or down or up or down, God is with him. God is with him. He had a God dream. He is trusted by Potiphar because God made Potiphar trust him and have favor and made him like him. And so God was with Joseph. And the Pharaoh of Egypt, the Pharaoh is like the president or the king or the ruler or the emperor, the most powerful person in the entire nation, has some crazy God dreams. Just like Joseph had crazy God dreams. And so the Pharaoh invites Joseph, who's in jail, to come to his mansion, right? His palace, like a king's palace. And Pharaoh says, I've had some crazy dreams and I want you to interpret them. And so Joseph says, Pharaoh, what is your dream? And Pharaoh says, I had two dreams. One, where there were 7 big healthy cows ready to be eaten, great steaks and make great hamburgers. But then 7 really skinny cows that looked like they needed to eat more, like they weren't fed by their farmer, come up and they replace the really good healthy cows. And Joseph says, that's interesting. What's the second dream? And Pharaoh says, the second dream is there was really good harvest, right? Everything I planted had grown. Think of like a corn on the cob. Have you ever seen a really good, big corn on the cob? And so Pharaoh says, there's 7 corn on the cobs, and they're big, and they look like I'm ready to eat them during my barbecue dinner. And then those 7 big, healthy corn on the cobs are filled by corn on the cobs that are kind of wrinkly, and little kernels are falling off, and they're not really yellow anymore. They're kind of brown, and right, you can't really eat them, or if you do eat them, like, you're not really going to get full. And so Joseph says, Pharaoh, the Lord has told me what your dreams mean. So even whenever he's in prison, taking a special trip to Pharaoh, Joseph is saying, hey, I'm not interpreting your dreams. God is interpreting your dreams because my God is good and my God is with me. And here's what the dreams mean. And Joseph tells the Pharaoh that his dreams mean for the next 7 years, every seed that he plants will grow and produce so much food. Every farm, every vegetable, every fruit, every grain, all the wheat that all your farmers farm are going to produce so much food that you'll have way more than you could ever eat in 1 year. So you're going to have 7 years where you just have a ton of food, right? 7 years of blessing. But then the 7 years after that, remember when the 7 good cows turned into 7 skinny cows that weren't good for eating, or the 7 good corn on the cobs turned into 7 like kind of brown and not good for eating corn on the cobs? He says you'll have 7 years of much, but it says after those 7 years, everything you grow, it's not really going to grow and you're not going to have enough food for your people. And so you need to prepare for this Pharaoh. And so the Pharaoh says, I need someone to be in charge. I need someone who will save all the extra from the first 7 years so that whenever we have 7 years without a lot of food, there'll still be enough. And he says, you know what? Joseph, I want you to be that person. I want you to be in charge of all the food in all of Egypt. And so, Joseph goes from in jail all the way up to second in charge of Israel. Oh, whoops. In charge of Egypt. Now, Egypt was the strongest nation in the world. Pharaoh was the strongest, most powerful person in the world. Egypt had the biggest armies. They had the most money. And so now, if Joseph is the second most powerful person in Egypt, and Egypt is the most powerful country in the world, what does that mean? That means Joseph is the second most powerful person in the world. Joseph went straight from in jail to being the second most powerful person in the world, all because he interpreted a dream for Pharaoh. Because God interpreted a dream for Joseph through Pharaoh. Because God was with Joseph. And so, remember his brothers who were his enemies? His brothers who sold him into slavery because they were angry? His brothers who, before they sold him to slavery, they thought about killing him. Right? His brothers were angry at him and they were the enemy. Well, his brothers end up coming back to him. And so during the 7 years where there's not a lot of food, Joseph's brothers come back and they have to ask Joseph for food. And so what do? They bow down to Joseph. Egyptian powerful person, give us food. We've run out of food. Our farms are producing corn with brown kernels. We can't eat it. We need food. We know that you have food. And so his brothers come back and bow down, making these 2 God dreams in the beginning 100% true. And Joseph is kind and forgiving, and he looks at his brothers and he says, what you meant for evil, because you were my enemy and you didn't like me, what you wanted to do to harm me, to hurt me, for evil, when you wanted to sell me into slavery, you wanted to kill me at one point, what you meant for bad and harm and hurtful things against me, God meant for good, because God had a plan and God was with me. And now look where I am. I'm the second in charge of all of Egypt. And so we still see God had a purpose. God had a purpose, and the victory was God's. Joseph's enemy, his brothers, couldn't stop him because God had a plan for Joseph. And God's plan for Joseph was not going to be stopped by 11 mean older brothers, because God has the victory. Victory is God's. Now, I'm going to tell you something. This is a big deal. Even if Joseph's life had ended in jail, even if Joseph stayed in jail his whole life, because Joseph had a relationship with God, because God was with Joseph, because Joseph was faithful and trusted God, even if Joseph died in jail, after he died, he would have gone to heaven. Whenever you're in heaven, you get to be with God like your friends. Be with God in person. And so, even if he died in jail, and I'll change colors, because this isn't what actually happened in the Bible, but this is just what happens if you know God. Even if he had died in jail, because he knew God, he would have gone to heaven. And this is what his life would have been like. Like that. Because no matter how hard your life is or how hurtful your brothers are, or even if you get framed and you get in trouble for doing something you didn't do, if you have trust in God and if God is with you, no matter what, whether you actually get to see great success in your life or whether your life is hard your whole life, and then at the end of your life, when you go to heaven, you get to be with God. No matter how your life goes, at the end, the victory is with us if you believe in God. And at the end, no matter what happens in your life, even if your life doesn't have as many ups as Joseph, even if your life is just one big sad face, right? At the end of your life, if you know God and you get to be in heaven with God, you end up way up here. And so, I hope that you guys can look at Joseph's life and all the ups and downs and see that in your own life, when there's ups and downs and there's good days and there's bad days and there's hard days and there's someone's mean to you or someone takes something from you, I want you to know that God is with you. God was with Joseph in jail. God was with Joseph when he was sold into slavery. God was with Joseph in the beginning of the story when he had his God dreams. God was with Joseph when he was doing really well. On your good days and your hard days, God is with you. And the victory is the Lord's. And I love victory and I love winning. Man, that helps me to be certain that I love God all the more. Have a good day, elementary school. Remember this lesson. Talk to me in the hallway. Tell me what your favorite part is whenever you see me in the hallway.